Delta Airlines was fined $50,000 for kicking 3 Muslims off a flight. The U.S. DOT handed down the fine. In the 2 separate events, Delta admitted it could have handled the situation better, but denied the actions were based on discrimination. In one of the cases from 2016, a passenger complained a Muslim couple made them feel very uncomfortable, and a man was seen putting something plastic in his watch. On top of the fine, Delta has to beef up its civil rights training with employees. MacKenzie Bezos sold $400 million worth of her Amazon shares. The ex-wife of Amazon CEO Jeff Bezos reduced her stake in the company. She became one of the world's wealthiest women following the divorce. Her 4% stake in Amazon was worth $37 billion. MacKenzie signed the giving pledge last year. That means that she's pledged to give away half of her fortune to charity.
All right, straight ahead.